Hello, Kivotos! Welcome, 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 one and all, to the very first episode of Kivotos Quarterly. I am your host, Yumi Tsuchinoko, and today we have a ton of characters and events to talk about. Oh my word, it is going to be quite a full show, folks. So welcome. For those of you who are here live, welcome. There will be lots of fun live audience participation for you throughout this event, so please look forward to that. For those of you who are watching the VOD later, welcome too. I hope that you enjoy this and that it is a very good way to start out the new day in Kivotos. Before we hop into our main program, folks, I want to thank our sponsors, Momo Friends. Momo Friends has very kindly sponsored this entire series. Momo Friends has been making friendships and spreading hope since 2021. Thank you, Momo Friends, for everything that you do. In fact, Momo Friends wanted me to tell you all that right now they're having a special sale. Valentine's was a week and a half ago, which means that all of their Valentine's merchandise is half off. This is a good deal, folks, an extremely good deal. You can get Pororo and Skullman chocolates for half of their normal retail price. So anyway, act fast before they're all sold out for good, folks. And remember to always share the power of hope and friendship with Momo Friends. Well, I am feeling pretty good, y'all. This last week has been, it's been a little warm in Kivotos. I don't know about you all. It's been a really nice time to go to the beach over with the Momoyodo Beach Shack franchise. I know that some of you have been spending a lot of time hanging out, having some very tasty food and checking out their wares. I do want to remind you all, if you haven't gone to check out this latest event yet, make sure to do so. At least play through the first section, because if you haven't claimed her already, you should get the 1-star swimsuit Shizuko. She is one of the best Shield characters. So folks, please don't miss out on this. It's okay if you don't have time to play through the whole event, but do make sure that at the very least you go and pick her up. She will make so many of your team comps so much better. Oh my word. But anyway, there's another thing related to the beach that I wanted to make sure to pass on to you all. It's more unfortunate, though. There has been some word recently that a suspicious pink-haired individual has been going around in nothing but a swimsuit and an oversized white shirt and is trying to sell lemonade. This individual does not have a food handling license, folks. I have been told this firsthand from the Justice Task Force, so if you see this pink-haired individual anywhere trying to sell you anything, whether it's lemonade, swimsuits, or anything else, please make sure that you tell Trinity's Justice Task Force. They are looking for her urgently. Oh, my word. But anyway, now that that's out of the way, today's main story will involve looking over all of the upcoming events and characters from late February to early June. That's quite a lot of characters, folks. That's quite a lot of things that are going to be coming up in the next 3.5 months. So, one thing I do want to mention, our producers for Kivotos Quarterly wanted to make sure that I included some disclaimers for you all. There's some important things to keep in mind while we discuss all upcoming characters and events. So, for one thing, no story spoilers will be given during the stream, but I will be giving vague outlines or background lore, even for some bosses that are going to be coming up later in the game. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to know anything about what is coming up next, whether it's characters, whether it's main story beats or events, then this probably isn't the news story for you. And that's totally okay. I just want to make sure that you all are prepared. There will, again, be no story spoilers whatsoever, but I will provide a little bit of background just so that you are fully prepared as we hop into some parts of the story here. So, yeah. Some additional disclaimers that we should go over. All events and characters are going to be given in approximate order, but you should all know that this is subject to change depending on the global development team. There have been times where reruns of characters have been pretty massively shifted around, or some events have been slightly shifted. So this will be an approximate list of everything that is going on. So just keep that in mind. This will still be a helpful guide for what's coming up next in approximate order. But especially for those reruns, I wanted to make sure to give you all as much of a heads up as possible that there is a chance things could change. And finally, last but not least, Kivotos Quarterly prides itself on fun, informative news reporting, so we will not be discussing the meta-ness of any of the characters. We will be discussing all characters in equal measures. That being said, I will make sure to point out some of the very good characters as far as what they will be able to do for certain game modes. But just keep that in mind. I won't be telling you which characters to pull. I want you to make an informed choice coming from this. So, one last thanks before we hop into our main story. I want to give a gigantic thank you to all of the brave, stalwart players who exist on the Japanese server. You people are incredible. Your knowledge and your sacrifice, being on the front lines as characters are released, not knowing who is coming up next, you are the reason that a show like this is possible. So thank you. Thank you for spending so much time in this game and helping us on the global server to know what is coming up next. Now, with all of this out of the way, all of our disclaimers said, it's time to jump into all the characters from late February to early June. First up, we are going to be heading to Red Winter. We've been to Red Winter a couple of times in the past, but this is going to be slightly different. In the past, we've spent some time at Red Winter looking over some of the political upheaval that tends to happen there. For those of you who aren't aware, coups tend to happen all the time in Red Winter. But this particular event that we're going to be visiting there will feature the Knowledge Liberation Front. These stalwart heroes are always trying to make sure that there is no censoring of their works at Red Winter. But it seems they might have found themselves in a little bit of trouble. So we will be going there starting next week in late February to see how they're doing and to help them out. As we go and visit Red Winter, we're going to have some brand new students who will be available on the upcoming banners. The very first character coming out is Meru. She is a 3-star character who deals piercing damage and has explosive armor. Excuse me, I'm reading this. Wait, she's a Doujin writer? Wait, she wrote what? A Doujin about the head, the head administrator of the prefect team and the vice president of the Justice Task Force? Oh, I don't think we can say that on the air. Anyway, let's just say that Meru is, very passionate about, writing flavorful Doujin. Her burning passion for Doujin is so powerful that she lights her deadlines and her enemies on fire. She's the real deal, folks. She's out here writing some very interesting material. How did this end up in my notes? Anyway, something for you all to know about her damage dealing capabilities. She has a very high base attack and even bigger damage. So as a piercing character, she will be able to do a ton of damage to your enemies, lighting them on fire as she burns through her very spicy manuscripts. moving on, joining Meru is Momiji, who is the first 2-star character we have seen in some time. It's pretty exciting, folks. Not only is she a new 2-star character who will be added to the pool of 2 stars that you can get when pulling, she's also our second ever Sonic character. That's right, folks. She's going to do Sonic damage. She will have piercing armor, which is spectacular. Momiji is a little bit more quiet than Meru in some of her passions, but if you get between Momiji and her manga, you will face the wrath of her Kuma explosion. So please look out, folks. Be very quiet in the library and don't try to take any of her manga or make it more difficult for her to read them. It will be not a good time for you all. Some things to note about Momiji. She has gigantic AoE damage. That's a very respectable area of effect. She will also get even better if you level her up to a 3-star, because once again, all characters in the game, whether they're a 1-star or a 2-star, can all reach a 3-star status. And once you get her to a 3-star, you will unlock her 3rd skill, which will make her even more damaging on the field. So these two, both Meru and Momiji, will be coming out in late February. So look forward to them coming out in this next week here. Also, since we're going back to Red Winter, something to note is we're also going to see reruns of 2 other very high-profile Red Winter students. The Commander-in-Chief of Red Winter, Cherino herself, will be having another rerun. She is an absolutely absurd AoE damage dealer who also gives frankly absurd amounts of EX skill regeneration. Your EX bars will be filling up faster than you can blink with Cherino on your team. In addition, we are also seeing a rerun of Marina. She is the head of Red Winter's security force, and when she's not caught in all sorts of conspiracies in Red Winter, she is wandering around the campus, trying not to get lost as she looks for bears. A respectable thing to be doing. Marina is a tank who will do AoE damage in front of her, and she has a decent amount of evasion. So if you're looking for a tank who does some piercing damage in a wide spread in front of her, she can be a lot of fun to use. Well, that is everything we had for Red Winter. So let's head on to our next section here. Excuse me, everyone. I'm terribly sorry to say, but we have some breaking news. I can't believe I'm saying this, but it appears that something very terrible is coming to Kivotos. The Fox of Calamity is attacking again, but with a hovercraft? I'm pretty sure that we've had some reports of her showing up for allied operations in the past, but this seems to be more urgent. Something is happening. Oh no, folks. I think that we need to organize a total assault to take on Wakamo. That's right. Wakamo Hovercraft is going to become a permanent total assault boss. Starting in early March, during the second half of this Doujin banner. So everyone prepare yourselves, because this is going to be quite the fight. So, for Hovercraft Wakamo, don't be misled by the name. This is actually a 2-phase fight. She is going to have piercing armor, and during the first phase, you will be facing off against her in her regular form. The second half, you'll be facing off against her Hovercraft form. So, as a result, you're going to need to be somewhat strategic about your teams that you bring to this, folks. Here are some character ideas and suggestions from what I've seen on the Japanese server that might help you. A couple of things to keep in mind here is you want a very good piercing DPS. This could look like Maki. This could look like Mika. It could look like Meru, our very spicy Doujin writer. Who is has very good damage. And it could also look like Pina, a character who is a 1-star who you can level up and does very impressive damage. In addition to this, having characters who can attack very quickly or do AoE will be very helpful. So, Meru, Swimsuit Ayane, Nonami, Cherino are just a couple of your options. But these are all things to consider as you head into this fight. In addition to this, especially on the front half of this fight, Hovercraft Wakamo, from what I'm being told here in the studio, does a lot of damage. So you will need to make sure you have something that can soak up that damage. So you can bring characters like Hifumi or Utaha, who will be able to drop items in order to draw Wakamo's fire, or it is suggested that you bring tanks that can heal themselves, or you bring very good healers to make sure they stay up. Interestingly, this does mean that characters like Amy and Tsukuyo can actually be very useful for fights like these. Even though they don't do piercing damage, you just need them to be there to soak up Wakamo's hits and to make sure that your team doesn't go down. Again, these are just suggestions, but one thing I do want to note is a lot of these characters are very easy to obtain. You can obtain them as 1-stars from events, you can obtain them from shops. This particular boss will be a little bit more free-to-play friendly, which is always welcome here in the studio. So, all right, everyone, just prepare yourselves for Hovercraft Wakamo. It will be coming up in early March. Okay, woo! All right, folks. Well, that was a bit of a scare. Glad that at least you all know that this is going to be coming up here. But let's hop into our next part of the scheduled programming, shall we? In mid-March, we're going to be heading back to Millennium for the Kivotos Halo Festival. This is going to be an event rerun, so for those of you who haven't seen this event before, look forward to this because there are a lot of exciting characters and a lot of exciting things to look forward to during this event. In addition to this, we're also going to see a rerun of some characters from this event. Cheerleader Utaha is going to once again be available. She is an auto-attacking unit who does mystic damage, and she and her trusty Thundergun will ride into battle to help you through your mystic events. In addition to this, Noah is also getting a rerun. Noah is an excellent focus fire character and just a generally good ally for helping to shred through defenses and focus fire on particular targets. I've heard that she can be used for total assault gauze, but you can also just use her for regular content clearing as well. In addition to this, even if you don't pull for these characters, do make sure that you pull, or rather, not pull, you play the event. My apologies. You should make sure to play through this event so that you can obtain Cheerleader Hibiki, who is the 1-star for this event. Her friendship lobby will also unlock relatively quickly. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Quickly. Oh my word. Oh my word. Getting all tongue-tied over here in the studio. My apologies, folks. My apologies. You can unlock her recollection lobby quickly. That's such a tongue twister. Oh my word. Oh my word. Quickly. Excuse me. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for my correspondents who are excusing me. Anyway, moving on. We do actually have a new character who's going to be showing up from this event. It's going to be Cheerleader Kotori. For the very first time, she's going to be available as a new character. She is an on-field striker who does explosive damage while also having mystic armor. Cheerleader Kotori might be out of shape, but she's determined to cheer her hardest for the Halo Festival. So if you want to pick her up, you should know that she does have pretty substantial and prolonged AoE damage, while also intermittently buffing ally crit rate. So if you also want to get in shape or just cheer alongside Kotori, you should make sure to pick her up from this event. Shortly after this, we're going to continue with the Kivotos Halo Festival. with another event rerun. We're going to have a return of several characters from this event. One thing to note is that the second stage of the Halo Festival will feature limited students. So these are characters that you cannot get just by rolling on any old banner. You will only be able to get these characters from this specific event. So make sure if you want to pick up Sports Day Yuka or Sports Day Mari, you will have this 1 week to do so in mid-March. So make sure to do this. Sports Day Yuka is a fantastic tank who will jump all across the field to make sure that your characters have the shields that they need to survive. Whereas Sports Day Mari is a fantastic AoE healer who is just doing her best to try and help out and making sure that your students are up and running. In addition to this, make sure to still play through this event if you haven't obtained Sports Day Kasumi, who will be available as a 1-star student during the second part of this Kivotos Halo Festival. In addition to this, we also have a brand new 3-star character who is going to be showing up for this part of the event. So, Sports Day Haruna is a 3-star who is an off-field support. She does AoE healing and, if you can believe it, a little bit of sonic damage. Oh my word. Sports Day Haruna is going to share the healing power of food, and my report says that she will also blow up anything that stands in her way. So just make sure not to get between her and her food, folks. That is a recipe for absolute disaster. A couple of things to know about Sports Day Haruna as an off-field support. She will do AoE healing with her EX skill, and in addition to that, every 40 seconds, she will deal sonic damage to 6 enemies that are on the field, while also shredding a small portion of their defense. She's got a lot of power behind her, and she is not afraid to blow things up if they get in her way. Oh my word. So, if you have been looking for any of these limited students, or you're interested in Sports Day Haruna, keep an eye out in mid-March for when this event rolls around. Oh, and folks, once the Sports Day is over, I think we've got quite the event coming up. I'm getting reports that on a trip to help out with transporting, I'm not sure if it's an artifact or something else, it appears that in late March, we as senseis might be getting involved with Trinity and Gehenna once again during the Trip Trap Train event. I'm not entirely sure what the Hot Springs Development Department is up to now, but wherever they go, chaos inevitably ensues. So prepare yourselves for all kinds of mayhem that's going to be happening at the end of March here. In addition to this very chaotic-filled event, we're going to have 2 new 3-star characters who will be available for the first time. The first of these is a fan favorite. It's Ichika, folks, from Trinity's Justice Task Force, beloved by fans, and only now getting an official character model. She is finally joining the cast as a playable character, but she's not alone. In addition to Ichika, she will be bringing along with her the Justice Task Force mobs just to make sure that they deal with all of the issues that tend to come up for the Justice Task Force. There really is barely a spare moment for Ichika and her Justice Task Force mobs. Oh my word. A couple of things to note about Ichika herself. She deals enormous fan-shaped AoE of sonic damage, which is fantastic. She's another brand new Sonic character, and the AoE on that sonic damage is monstrous. Absolutely monstrous, folks. So look forward to when Ichika is finally showing up as playable at the end of March. In addition to Ichika, we have the head of the troublemakers themselves, Kasumi. who is also becoming a playable character for the first time after showing up in several events and the main story prior to this, always with the intent of expanding Hot Springs wherever she can. She will also be a sonic damage dealer, and, well, what more is there to say than if there's a Hot Springs to develop, Kasumi will be there to drill for it, literally. With her enormous drill, smashing into her enemies on the field, Kasumi will deal incredible AoE, not only sonic damage, but massive defense shred. So, look forward to all of the chaos that will be happening there. On one hand, I like the idea of having more hot springs to go and visit, but I'm also a little bit nervous about what kind of destruction will happen if you let Kasumi and the hot springs department onto a train. I don't know, folks. It's gonna be a wild ride, if nothing else. So please look forward to Ichika and Kasumi joining the full roster of Blue Archive at the end of March. And now, speaking of onsens and hot springs, I'm getting reports that in early April, we're actually going to be revisiting the onsen event that happened in Red Winter. We're getting a lot of Red Winter here, folks. This is absolutely fantastic. Well, we'll be heading back to Red Winter again. And when we do, this is actually the third time that this particular event has been run. And do you know what that means? This event is now going to be permanently archived. You will be able to play this at any time. So if you haven't played this event before and you wanted to play it at any time that you join the game after early April, this will be available to play right here on the main screen in the event recap section. Oh, it's exciting, folks. It's always good to see an event have 3 runs and end up archived as a result of that. Fantastic. We also have quite the lineup of characters. Now that this event has been rerun 3 times, we have an enormous grouping of characters who are all being released at the same time. So, we will have a rerun. Oh, excuse me. My apologies. We will have a rerun of Onsen Shinatsu, who, despite being a mystic damage dealer, you should think less of as a mystic character and more of as an attack speed character. She will massively buff the attack speed of an on-field ally if you bring her on your team. In addition, we're also having a rerun of Onsen Nodoka, who is an absolutely spectacular healer who will do AoE healing for over 30 seconds for on-field characters. Just be careful when you bathe in the hot springs that she isn't creeping over your shoulder the whole time. Anyway, moving on, we're also having a rerun of Onsen Cherino, who will burst onto the field as an off-field support who will literally drive a tank to do damage. She will hop onto the field and do small bursts of AoE damage as a result. She's a very fun character for those who have her, and if you enjoy her playstyle, I hope that you all take the opportunity to pick her up or to build her if you have her. And finally, once again, this event has a 1-star character that you can pick up. So make sure that at the very least, if you haven't played this event before, make sure to play through it so that you can obtain the 1-star character Tomoe, who is an absolutely spectacular speaker. In fact, she is so inspiring to those who are around her that she is able to massively buff crit damage to an absolutely absurd degree. So anyway, if you need a good crit damage buffer for your on-field characters, Tomoe is a fantastic character to build. In addition to this, the rerun of this event will also see the very first release of Onsen Shigure. She has been a character in this event, but she has not been playable up until this point. She is an off-field support, very similar to Onsen Nodoka. She does AoE healing and is also a crit buffer. Folks, She insists that her onsen beverages aren't alcoholic, but let me tell you, having tried some, they pack quite a healing punch. I'm not sure if I completely believe her on that, but I also haven't taken them to be tested anywhere. So for now, I'll just say they're very tasty, and I felt very good afterwards. A little questionable, though, about what the content in them is. For those of you who want to play with her, I would note that she is very similar to Onsen Nodoka, but with an important difference. Both Onsen Nodoka and Onsen Shigure will both do AoE healing, but the way that they do this is different. Onsen Nodoka will heal one character at a time, whereas Onsen Shigure will heal everyone at the same time. As a result, her EX skill does cost a lot more. Although, if you do get it all the way up to EX skill level 5, that cost will be reduced. So, if you like the idea of having all of your characters be consistently healed at the same time, Onsen Shigure is a fantastic pick for this. Not only this, but her third skill will buff crit damage. Which is fantastic for doing runs either in missions or for total assault. So, that's a lot of character reruns, folks. In fact, there's so many that I'm having trouble fitting them all on one slide. So we have 4 3-star characters who will all be showing up at the same time, as well as the 1-star character Tomoe, who you can get from playing the event. Oh my word, folks, that's quite a lot. In addition to this, shortly after this event, we will also have a rerun of Shigure's regular form during mid-April. She is an interesting character who doesn't play very well with any characters who have low accuracy. However, if you do have characters who have reasonably high accuracy, Shigure can be a bit of a monster to pair with them. She also does very defensible AoE explosive damage herself. On top of this, we'll also be seeing a rerun of Megu, one of the other menaces of the Hot Springs Development Club. Megu is often seen around blowing up anything and everything in her way, just like Kasumi. However, whereas Kasumi likes to drill for Hot Springs, Megu likes to, explode and burn through things to find hot springs. She is a very tanky DPS who will do a wide swath of AoE explosive damage while having very impressive survivability. Very high defense and HP for a character who is supposed to be just a straight DPS. So if you're interested in an AoE character who could maybe even double as a tank, Megu is someone to take a look at for her capabilities. Ooh, so many Hot Springs development, y'all. Oh my word. Oh, it's gonna be a lot of developing Hot Springs, enjoying some time in Hot Springs, and a lot of reruns for a lot of very fun characters. Oh my word. Well, folks, I think that's all of the news for now, except for, wait, I'm sorry, excuse me. My apologies. We have some interesting news. I'm being told that something from out of Kivotos is coming to Kivotos? I'm sorry, am I reading this correctly? Excuse me, is this saying that, students who aren't Kivotos students will be here in Kivotos? Oh my word, folks. It looks like in late April, we are going to have the second ever crossover event with an outside franchise. This is going to feature 3 students from a certain scientific railgun who have somehow stumbled into Kivotos. The last time that a student found their way into Kivotos was all the way back in June of 2022 when Hatsune Miku did a live tour through here. But this time, instead of just 1 student, we're going to have 3. We're going to have 3 whole new students who are showing up. this is incredible, folks. I'm being given details about what their abilities are now. It looks like one of the characters, fan favorite Misaka Mikoto, is going to be a limited character during this event. She will do piercing damage and have piercing armor. And even though she may carry an assault rifle over her shoulder, I wouldn't be fooled by that. Her powers as an Esper are as powerful as a railgun. I've heard, based on these early reports, that she can shoot a coin as a railgun shot in a straight line, striking a series of opponents in a very similar fashion to another railgun-toting character in this game, our beloved Aris from Millennium. So this is someone to keep an eye out for, folks. If you've been looking for someone who can do some pretty impressive AoE damage, catching a bunch of opponents all in a straight line, looks like she's going to be someone to look out for here. In addition to this, my sponsors did want me to point out that this beloved new Railgun character does seem to be a very big fan of Momo Friends merchandise. This really goes to show that Momo Friends can even melt electric hearts. Oh my word, Momo Friends is very powerful. I'm very honored to have them as a sponsor today. This is just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Anyway, moving on. My apologies for that quick sponsored segment. Moving on to the next of our characters, another fan favorite from the Railgun series, is Shokuho Misaki. She is going to be a limited character during this event, and she's going to do explosive damage while having piercing armor. Now, Misaki is an interesting character. Her power to influence others is so effective, she'll have your enemies fighting each other. Oh my word, be careful not to be brainwashed by her. Although I don't fault you whatsoever if the brainwashing does lead to you pulling for her. I understand. She will deal AoE damage that brainwashes her enemies and makes them fight against each other. In addition to this, do note that initial brainwashing does include some AoE damage of its own, so she will be doing damage while also making enemies fight each other. In addition to this, even if you don't end up pulling for either of these new 3-star characters, just by playing this event, you will be able to get Saten Ryuko, who is an off-field support who will be a 1-star. She does AoE piercing damage and is an attack buffer. In fact, she'll literally knock your enemies out of the park and will power up allies with tasty sweets on top of it. For those of you curious about her abilities, she does AoE piercing damage while also increasing attack passively, which is fantastic. She is a character to look out for if you've been looking for a fun AoE piercing character and you want some extra passive attack buffs for your teams. So, keep an eye out for this limited event, which will be happening at the very end of April. Oh my, folks. This is pretty wild. I can't believe we're going to be having some brand new students who will be showing up for a brief period of time, and I'm very grateful that Millennium will be looking after them during this time. Well, folks, I think we only have one major thing to talk about besides this, and that is that in early May, we're going to be heading back to Hyakkiyako. But this isn't for an event. This is an actual main story beat. Up to this point, we have only seen small glimpses of Hyakkiyako through events and festivals, but this will be the first time that we get an intimate look into the politics and the bureaucracy that is happening in Hyakkiyako, which is absolutely incredible. Oh my word. Hyakkiyako is absolutely gorgeous, and I think this will be a spectacular time to spend some time there getting to learn more about Hyakkiyako and all of the students who are living there. In fact, this is going to be a very important main story beat, and since we've only seen Hyakkiyako in short events here and there leading up to this point, I thought it might be a good idea to do some Hyakkiyako trivia with you all. So, for those of you who are watching live, you are about to see a live poll that will show up in the chat where you can see and test some of your knowledge about Hyakkiyako. In particular, what I want to know from you all is who is the official student council of Hyakkiyako. The poll should be live now, and you have 4 options. There is the Festival Operations Department, the Yin Yang Club, the Hyakkiyako, and none of the above. For those of you following along at home, please feel free to take a moment to think about this, to think about which of these 3 clubs, or none of them at all, are the actual official student council of Hyakkiyako, as this will be relevant to our next main story beat. While you all are casting your votes for this, I'm going to take some time to have a drink of water. For those of you who have already voted or who are in the middle of voting, make sure to hydrate. I'll be getting some water here, and the poll will finish in the next 30 seconds. All right, folks, that's the last 10 seconds. And to our studio audience who is taking guesses, please, no worries whatsoever. Regardless of whether you get it right or wrong, this will be a helpful look into the lore of Hyakkiyako as we prepare to head there for our next chapter of the main story. And with that, the poll is ended. Thank you all so much for participating in that poll. Most of you voted for the Yin Yang Club, which I think is a fantastic guess. The Yin Yang Club has been representing Hyakkiyako for quite some time, showing up to different events and making sure that when the General Student Council calls for them, they are there to answer. I will now officially be revealing the answer to this. Is it the Yin Yang Club? Is it the Hyakkiyako? Is it the Festival Operations Department? The answer will now be revealed in 3, 2, 1. There is no official student council of Hyakkiyako. So if you guessed none of the above, that was correct. This was a bit of a trick question. I'll have to pass that along to our producers. My apologies to our studio audience. That was a tricky question from our producers. My apologies to those of you who voted for the Yin Yang Club. I completely understand why. Even those of you who voted for Hyakkiyako, I also understand this. So please, no worries. It was a trick question from our producers. So, this is an interesting thing about Hyakkiyako. As opposed to other schools in Kivotos, Hyakkiyako is an alliance of clubs. It does not have a formal student council. Instead, it has what I would consider to be conflict mediators. Clubs who exist to make sure that that alliance of clubs is stable. These 2 clubs that mediate any conflicts and make sure that everything is doing okay are the Hyakkiyako and the Yin Yang Club. So if you guessed either of these, you're very close. These two clubs tend to act as essentially, if the General Student Council needs anything, they will serve as the acting student councils. In fact, for a long time, the Hyakkiyako was the acting council of Hyakkiyako. So if anything happened within the district, or if the General Student Council needed representatives from Hyakkiyako, they would reach out to the Hyakkiyako just to get their opinion on things. However, there's been some interesting rumors circulating about the Hyakkiyako recently. They haven't been as present in Hyakkiyako politics. In fact, no members of theirs have been seen in some time. So, in the interim, the Yin Yang Club, the other mediators of Hyakkiyako, are effectively the current acting council. So for those of you who voted for either of these clubs, please know that you're essentially right, but they are only the acting councils. If you try to ask them if they are the student council of Hyakkiyako, they will insist that there is none. They are just trying to represent Hyakkiyako and mediate any conflicts that happen. For anyone who voted for the Festival Operations Club, they do a lot of good work as well, so don't feel bad if you did that. Shizuko does an excellent job with that, so she might as well be an ambassador for Hyakkiyako. So, the reason that I'm bringing this up is this is going to be very important for the next part of our main story. During the next main story beat, we will be learning why is the Hyakkiyako less active now? What's been going on with their members? Why has the Yin Yang Club had to step up in their place? What really lies beneath the surface of Kivotos' festival district? There's a lot of questions that I have and I need to have answered, which is great because in early May, we are going to get the first 13 episodes of Volume 5, which is absolutely spectacular, folks. I'm extremely hyped for this. It's going to be the next installation of our main story, Volume 5. Oh, it's exciting, folks. When this first 13 episodes drops, we're actually going to have a brand new character that will be showing up at the same time as this. Her name is Yukari, and she is a sonic damage dealer who is a 3-star. Yukari is filled with determination and grace, and her prayers will surely guide you to success. She does absolutely incredible AoE damage, and if you get enough prayer stacks on her, she will do guaranteed crit damage. Which is absolutely incredible. The one thing to note about Yukari is that she, in exchange for this massive AoE damage and guaranteed crits with higher prayer stacks, her EX skill does cost quite a lot to cast. So if you do end up pulling for her, do try to pair her with characters that will either speed up EX cost regeneration or will discount the cost of her EX skill, just to make it so you can cast that even more. Oh my word. This is exciting, folks. We're going to Hyakkiyako. I'm absolutely blown away by this. This is incredible. Oh, and excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm getting reports that we're going to be spending even more time with some characters we haven't seen in some time. In mid-May, we're going to potentially see a rerun of Saori and Hiyori, which is absolutely fantastic. These two members of the Arius squad formerly. They are doing fairly well for themselves, and we'll be seeing a rerun during this event. It will be a great time to pick up these characters if you haven't picked up Saori or Hiyori before. Saori is an absolute beast of a character. She does massive explosive damage that gets even better if you pair her with other area squad members or Azusa. In addition to this, Hiyori will be getting a rerun, and she is a spectacular defense shred character, especially when you pair her with other area squad members. In addition to this, we'll be spending even more time in Hyakkiyako in late May, with episodes 14 to 26 of Volume 5 being released on the global server. That's right, folks. We're going to have a full 26 episodes of Volume 5 that will become available during May, which is absolutely fantastic. Oh my word. In addition to this, we're going to see some other brand new characters who will be showing up. We have Renge, who is a 3-star sonic damage dealer. Renge is fierce and zealous, and she will literally burn her way through the battlefield. Oh my word, watching her EX animation is just a delight. She does incredible AoE burn damage with a very low EX cost. So if you like to spam through EX skills and blast through enemies, she will be a ton of fun to pick up and to play. In addition to Renge, we're also going to see another new Hyakkiyako character, Kikyou. She is another 3-star sonic damage dealer. And folks, Kikyou is quite the strategist. She is the ultimate team player. She will not only buff Sonic allies and shred enemies, but she will do a ton of AoE damage herself. That's right, folks. She will do AoE defense shred, Sonic damage buffs, and depending on how far through the battle you are, she will also reduce EX cost for all allies. She is the whole package. She is absolutely incredible. So if you are looking for a frankly absurd sonic damage dealer who will do a little bit of everything, the strategist Kikyou will be someone to look out for coming up soon here. So look out for this in late May. We have a ton of new Hyakkiyako characters who will all be dropping, as well as the first 26 episodes of Volume 5, which is absolutely wonderful. Oh my word. That's so many characters, folks. I'm so excited. This was such a wonderful first Kivotos quarterly. I absolutely loved this with you all. Excuse me. What? We're getting another breaking news? What could be breaking news after all of that? That was so many new characters. There's a main story drop. There's new characters. There's reruns. What could possibly be crazier than that? Oh no, folks. I'm getting news now. There's another Total Assault boss that will be coming at the end of the main story? The end of our first main story in Hyakkiyako, the first 26 episodes? Oh no, folks. It looks like Myouki Kurokage will be joining the Total Assault list. Oh, this is a rather frightening looking Total Assault boss. It's not like the Fox of Calamity is not intimidating, but this looks like it stepped right out of a ghost story. Oh my word. Well, folks, Myouki Kurokage is going to be the first Total Assault boss that has sonic armor. That's right. our first Sonic boss is going to be joining the roster at the very end of May and the beginning of June. Oh boy. All right. Well, now that we know that that's coming up, I think some preparations need to be made for this new Total Assault boss. Luckily, a bunch of the characters we've been talking about throughout this Kivotos Quarterly episode are all AoE Sonic damage dealers, which is fantastic. From what I'm being told, Myouki Kurokage has a very, very good chance of being defeated by AoE Sonic characters. So make sure, if you have the ability to do so, that you pick up at least one of these characters. Momiji is a 2-star who will be coming out this next week. So consider making some polls to pick her up, or if you end up rolling her on some future banners, because again, she's a 2-star character who will be added to the permanent roster, consider building her for this fight. Besides this, we have a lot of other good Sonic damage dealers and even a healer who are going to be available for this fight. Something I do want to mention is that 3 of these Sonic damage dealers also do Defense Shred, which will be very useful if you want to fight some of the higher levels of Kurokage. From what I understand, shredding through the boss's defenses is a very, very good idea. Oh my word, folks. This is going to be quite the fight. In addition to these characters, I've also been told that you should make sure to bring good healers to this fight, preferentially good AoE healers, as Kurokage is going to deal a lot of damage. So remember, this has been a special breaking news report to prepare you for this upcoming Total Assault boss. We have not 1, but 2 Total Assault bosses that will be happening in the next 4 months, and this boss, Kurokage, is someone that you'll want to make sure to have at least 1 AoE Sonic damage dealer if you want to have a reasonable time getting through it. You don't have to pull for all of these characters, but if you happen to get a Sonic character in the next 4 months, consider building them to make this fight just a little bit easier. Oh my, just getting chills looking at this very, very spooky boss. I think I'm gonna need a good hug from Pororo-san. Oh my word, folks. Oh, okay, well, with all that spook out of the way, this has been the first episode of Kivotos Quarterly. Thank you all so much for coming to join me. This has been absolutely spectacular. Please remember to give your Momo friends plushes and friends lots of hugs to keep away the spooks from Kurokage. Oh, and thank you all for the many hugs. Oh, you flatter me as a newscaster. Oh my word. In addition to this stream, I have prepared a cheat sheet for all of you, which is going to be available on the YouTube community page, as well as Twitter, which is now branded as X, I'm being told. That surely can't be right. I don't know what the producers were thinking putting that X. X is the name of the website? I'm sorry, that can't be right. I'm going to call it Twitter. Squitter? It doesn't sound right. Anyway, I will have that on the community page on X, Twitter, and Discord. So please look out for this. This will be a handy guide if you want to reference anything that was discussed today, to know exactly when characters are coming up and the rough order of these reruns. I like that suggestion from our live audience. Calling it Twix is fantastic. Oh my word. I want to give once again a very special thank you to Momo Friends for sponsoring this first episode of Kivotos Quarterly. Momo Friends will always be there for you. Always watching. Always spreading hope. Wherever they can. In addition to this, I also want to give an enormous thank you to the following content creators and aggregate websites who were instrumental in putting this video together. For one thing, I want to thank the content creator Kazu, who makes, in addition to the best total assault guides that I have ever seen, please go and subscribe to him. Oh my word. He has not sponsored this or does not know I'm saying this, but please go and support him. He does incredible work. In addition to this, on Twitter, he also posts these absolutely incredible raid reports from the Japanese server, showing what characters people are using to clear the highest levels of total assault, which is not only helpful for if you're doing platinum grinds, but it's just helpful to see which characters people are using for which fights. This was instrumental for figuring out what players are doing and how they're defeating the bosses on the Japanese server. In addition to this, I also want to give a thank you to Arisu Archive, who makes not only the best chibi animation videos that I have ever seen, but also posts fantastic playthroughs of Torment and Insane on the Japanese server, which again, even if you're not running those highest levels, is still helpful to see what your actual characters are doing for these fights. Absolutely spectacular. In addition to this, I also want to give a huge shout out to the Blue Archive Wiki. Oh my word, they are instrumental in doing research for these videos. They have everything laid out so fantastically. It is incredible. In addition to descriptions of student skills from the Japanese server, they also have a listing and timing of banners, total assault raids, and everything that helps me to put together our timeline, which is absolutely fantastic. So thank you. That fan wiki, by the way, is bluearchive.fandom.com. Fantastic work that they're doing over there. Oh, I also want to give a huge thank you to two content creators whose music compilations I have been using for this video in the background. Mo2 has absolutely spectacular, just really good musical tracks from the game that they upload very quickly after they're released. Absolutely fantastic. In addition to this, Salieri AS also has wonderful, wonderful musical compilations. Both of them are on YouTube. Salieri AS also has a massive compendium of a bunch of pictures that are also very helpful, which is wonderful. One thing I do want to note for anyone who goes and checks out these content creators, in particular, Mo2, Salieri AS, and Arisu Archive all will occasionally post some character and story spoilers from the Japanese server. So if you don't want to have any of those spoilers and you don't want to know which characters are showing up at certain times, I would be wary of this. But they do a pretty good job of keeping things relatively spoiler-free besides pictures or thumbnails. So I just wanted to give you all a heads up if you do want to go and check them out. And finally, I want to thank all of our correspondents, our producers, and our studio audience for hanging out and listening through our very first episode of Kivotos Quarterly. This was absolutely spectacular. Oh my word. Thank you all so much for joining me as we went through this. In fact, I have several special members of our studio audience that I want to highlight because they sent some very kind super chats during the stream. I appreciate that. Oh my word. Thank you to the one and only Hifumi. Oh my word. Oh my word, in the studio with us, Hifumi. Oh my word. Hifumi, thank you for the super chat. Yeah, let's go, Yumi. Give it up for the very first Kivotos Quarterly chat. Let's get hype. True you are, Hifumi. You had the inaugural chat. You had the inaugural super chat. Thank you so much for your support. It means the world to those of us at Kivotos Quarterly. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to QB for your super chat. Got here late from a gym run. To the VODs I go. No worries whatsoever, QB. I hope that you enjoy the VOD. And thank you so much for supporting Kivotos Quarterly and the reporting that we do here. Oh my word. And also thank you to all of you who have been sending gifted memberships. Oh my word! You're overwhelming the producers here. Thank you. Thank you for those of you who are also joining the membership. It is extremely appreciated. I hope you all enjoy the emotes. I hope you enjoy the behind the scenes content and other sorts of things that we do here when we're not doing Kivotos quarterly. Oh my word, folks. Thank you so much for coming and joining me for our first ever Kivotos quarterly. We had a little bit of scuff. We had a little bit of surprising breaking news that happened, but I would say this was a pretty successful first episode of this brand new series. More than anything, I would like to extend an enormous thank you to all of you for your extremely kind support and for 10,000 of you subscribing. That is incredible. Our producers honestly don't know what to do with that number, so we've put this together as a small gesture to thank you all for this. Please look forward to more episodes of Kivotos Quarterly in the future. This will be a recurring series, just like our seasonal anime or lore archive or our student reviews, but this will be happening with quite a bit of regularity. In fact, this will happen every quarter. So every 3 months, we will have a Kivotos Quarterly. Look forward to our future episodes where we will be looking over all of the characters that will be coming up next, bringing you the hottest and newest news. Who wrote that line? Was that Shinon? Or was that Mai? I need to have a discussion with them after this. The newest news? Surely we can do better than that here. Anyway, we're bringing you the freshest and hottest news here at Kivotos Quarterly, and we will continue to do so every 3 months. So please look forward to more sponsored segments from Momo friends, more character reveals and event reveals, almost certainly more breaking news. As I'm sure that Wakamo won't be contained for long. Also make sure to keep an eye out for the suspicious pink-haired girl trying to sell lemonade, y'all. Make sure to pass along any news of this to Trinity's Justice Task Force if you happen to find her. And until the next time that we meet, I will see you all in the next Kivotos Quarterly and all the other live streams and videos that will be happening in the interim. Oh my word. Until next time, this has been Kivotos Quarterly, and I'm signing off as your host, Yumi Tsuchinoko. Have a wonderful rest of your day, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world.